could swear I read that one.
You know, oh, yeah.
I'll just get my glasses. I'm so nerdy.
It's the first one.
No. It says it's the
Oh, there it
same
is.
font,
Okay.
but when I like edit, we have like looks different.
I know it's a consent item, but I would like just publicly making a few comments about the process and a few things, if that's okay.
That'd be great. Can you do that? During the consent agenda or
What do you recommend? After you vote to approve it, then I'll just make a statement regarding personnel specifically. That makes sense. Jesse, do I need to push you? Okay.
approval of agenda?
So moved. Second?
Bergstrom,
Yes.
Merritt, Taylor,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Van Sickle.
Yes. Presentation, celebration, and reports.
Yeah, before we get started, I guess as many of you that are here tonight know, we had some tragic and terrible news that came across over the weekend, and we lost one of our students, Cameron Brailsford. So I just want everybody that's present on behalf of Ogden Community Schools and the board to be thinking about the Brailsford family at this time while they're grieving. So moving forward with our agenda, I did ask Denny Good, our transportation director, to be here tonight. We had a longstanding employee that we want to recognize.
Absolutely. Connie Mullins was with us for 47 years. And as all of you know, 47 years is a long time for anybody to be in one place. And Connie was a huge part of our department. She was, of course, the senior driver, and she was the advisor. She always had a comment if somebody was having trouble with kids on the bus, families, driveways, different things. Connie always put in towards the solution. And I can't say that I ever feel that she was wrong. When I first came on board, probably a year after I had started with the school, I got a phone call one day, and dreaded phone calls. But this one was a good one. It was from the superintendent of schools in Woodward Granger. And he called and said, "You know what? I'm behind bus number 1. He says, I'm on my way to Boone, and I'm here to tell you she's doing it right. She's stopping. She's turning on lights with adequate notice. She's stopping. She's letting kids off of the bus. The door doesn't go close until the kids are away from the bus, and the bus doesn't leave until the kids are a safe distance from the bus." So on behalf of the school district, we would like to present Larry and his daughter Mary with this plaque on behalf of Connie tonight. And thank you for the 47 years of service.
Those were her kids.
Absolutely.
That's why she looked at it.
Absolutely.
Her kids.
She protected them as if they were her, no doubt.
And I tried to get her to retire after she had COVID.
Nope.
No. I got
She had
2 more years to go.
She had kids to take care of. Yeah.
Well, I don't know whether she would have quit after that.
Exactly.
She loved what she did. So
it's a big part of who she was. Yeah. Absolutely.
One of those things, you love what you're doing.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys.
Thank you for sharing your wife and your mom with us for so many years. We sure appreciate that. Other recognition, do we have some students? Are they here?
My students, not here to be here.
Okay. So we were hoping to talk about our family consumer science, and Jessica Levicki, unfortunately, is ill today, and our students are probably in the student section cheering out, so where they rightfully should be. So we're going to go ahead and move on to principal reports.
Rock, paper, scissors. Who goes first?
I'll go ahead and volunteer. Okay. So, move along here. So I got several items. Just want to get you up to speed, I guess, on some things that have been happening since we got the second semester going. Currently, Mrs. Wilmus is working on course requests for the high school. That'll help us to determine our number of sections, how we need to allocate our personnel for the coming school year. In conjunction with that, I asked Mr. Heyer for his assistance in taking a look at our combined high school, middle school master schedule. We've made some significant adjustments to the middle school schedule, master schedule, that I think are really going to be beneficial for our students, chiefly in the areas of offering some transitional and developmental classes in the area of social emotional learning, executive skills, and the removal essentially of unstructured time, keeping our kids engaged longer and more consistently. So I'm looking forward to watching all that come together after we get the high school course requests put together. Just some items. CTE Day was at the Capitol on February 6th. All of our 4 strands of CTE were represented down there at the Capitol, and they had a great day. By all accounts, things were really enjoyable for them. Wanted to mention IJAG. The officers also went to the Capitol for Legislative Day on January 25th. IJAG also on Friday, the 9th, attended UMAC Discovery Day. So we are really giving our kids, our CTE programs, opportunities to get out, be exposed to different things that are happening in our legislature, our government, talk about Iowa workforce development, and really trying to grow a group of potential employees from within our own community. To that end, CT and Ag Construction specifically have also reached out in trying to make a connection with partnering with Heart of Iowa Habitat for Humanity. There's opportunities where through marketing, actual boots on the ground construction, all kinds of different opportunities for us where we can partner with Habitat as they work to serve a family or families in the Boone area. And so we're hoping that that blossoms over the course of the year here. That's probably something that leads us into next year, but definitely opportunities that offer our kids a chance to get some hands-on experience and also give back. FFA participated in a webinar recently, that was February 1st, with Iowa livestock judges to learn about judging various animals. There was a Kahoot at the end, a little quiz that apparently we finished 7 in, so I'm taking it. We'll call it an official competition. And so that's been going on. A lot of great work in the CT group. Wanted to talk a little bit about at-risk and some of the work that's been happening. Maggie Boyd has been doing some great work for us, just connecting with our kids that are needing additional support, kind of keeping track of them, pushing them, assisting them when needed. Just a quick example of last year, at this exact time, in the first semester, we had 53 failed classes among 22 students. This year at the semester, 30 failed classes among 17 students. So she is definitely moving the needle there and doing some good work with our kids to try and get them over some of the hurdles and the barriers that would prevent them from getting to graduation day. We recently met with Emily Rash of the AAA to talk about our math pathways and work to develop a flow chart, talking about how we would identify students as low as 6th grade and figuring out, we're having discussions about what the right pathway is as far as advancing students, having 8th graders that take algebra, and then ultimately what level of math do we feel is appropriate for a high school diploma from Ogden? What should be the baseline requirements for a graduate? The state says it's 3 years. Which 3 years is what we're talking about? Where should we expect our kids to get to have a diploma from Ogden? So that's been good discussion. Just on another side note, on some safety protocols and some things that have been timely, certainly since the start of the second semester. We had our first meeting of our MERT team, Emergency Medical Response Team. Met with that group and put some roles in place. There's roles that are on the group are nurse and team leader, first responder, site manager, recorder, and office staff member. Each of them has specific jobs and roles. So if we found a medical emergency among our students, staff, or guests, we have a coordinated and organized response to keep the situation and the scene under control while we assess what needed to happen next. So it was really great to get that team together. We have some very competent and capable people, and fortunately in our own building with skill sets that can make that a very effective group. And to that end, we also had a whole staff meeting about our safety protocols, just reviewing our bullet points around fire drills, storm drills, what a shelter in place is and what it should look like, lockdowns, evacuations, and ultimately reunification. So we just had a refresher on that where we discussed all those different elements. The staff was very great, developed some terrific questions and questions that we can get responses to. And we left some resources in our staff shared folder in our Google Drive so that they can go back and refer to the different bullet points, the conversations, the questions that were asked, and the answers that are being provided as we get them. So in a nutshell, a month into second semester here, that's kind of what we're doing.
Any questions? Very good.
I'll kind of start where Maury ended. Our staff also spent a Wednesday afternoon just really reviewing our procedures and protocols that we have in place for all types of emergency, and really looked through it with a critical eye of what do you need clarification on, what's missing, what do we need to add. So we just used a process and protocol, and I think when you have experts in different locations and different roles in the building, they brought some changes or things that we need to maybe think about that we hadn't before, but appreciated. Billy Olson sat in there with us and came from his lens. Our nurse went through our emergency pack, just kind of really thinking through needs and things that we need to think through. Office staff, teachers, our lunch staff was in there, so all roles were there, really thinking about what we would do in each type of situation. Our next step is to do some tabletop exercises to really think through if this happened in a certain location in our building, how would we respond, what we would do in similar situations. But it was nice just to have that conversation with a lot of experts sitting in the room, thinking through their roles. We recently wrapped up our math and reading data meetings, and I think having teacher leaders in the building is so valuable, but having them lead meetings with each teacher one-on-one, and then with grade level teams talking about what students grew, maybe who didn't grow, what do we need to do, matching interventions, and then having a plan together is really powerful to sit and listen to teachers collaborate around that. As we went through those days, both for reading and math, we have some areas in reading that have really stopped to make us question, do we have some changes that we need to make in our core instruction to move some data in some different places? So we're in the process right now looking K-5 at what are maybe some loopholes we have in our core instruction and how are we going to respond systemically within our building to make some changes around that. Teachers are currently meeting with parents if they have fallen out persistently at risk, which means they've been non-proficient 2 times, and doing that in addition to conferences coming up next week. That leads us into conferences Monday and Tuesday, which we're always really excited about at the elementary, having an opportunity to connect with all of our families. Last week, we had a family event to support Be the Light, and could not be more ecstatic about how our teachers rallied around not only one, planning the event, but then volunteering their time. I was worried the whole day, like, we planned this event, what if no one shows up? And then we looked out before the night was supposed to start and people were packed waiting outside the door. And there's something I think really, it just brought a lot of joy to see families just interact and have fun with their kids at an event, and then having our staff having fun right along with them. But we had 3 6-hole miniature golf courses set up throughout the building. Teachers leading bingo, and then people that created a whole snack shack with our orange theme. So it was a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to 2 more nights coming up, both a literacy night and a math night, all really being planned by our staff, and just looking for opportunities to connect with our families. So super proud of their work with that. And the last two things, one, we are in the process of kindergarten registration and planning our kindergarten family night. And then linking back to that reading, Shelly Cruz happens to be here tonight that I didn't know she was going to be, but one of the things that we talked about through our reading data is just how do we create that love for reading with kids. And it's not always about how fast they read or thinking through that, but Shelly has been working really hard with all fifth graders and working to create teams for Battle of the Books that she'll go and they'll be in contest in teams of 4 students and they're reading a list of books and it's really neat. Kids books. What are you reading? And be prepared for 15 minutes on so and so. Read all of the books because I feel like I've got some pretty solid summaries, but she's reading them right along and creating questions to help them practice. And I think it's an example of what teachers are doing to connect with kids to make them excited about learning.
Any questions? Or Mrs. Carl? All right, thank you, principals. Consent agenda. Any questions?
I'll make the motion to approve if somebody has any questions.
Second. Bergstrom,
Yes.
Merritt, Taylor,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Vansickle.
Okay, I guess before we go to the action items, with that consent agenda approval, I do want to formally announce our new superintendent, I'm staying unless you five would tell me something different.
Surprise.
And the great thing is that's gonna always haunt me because we got the camera now.
Very good consent agenda. I didn't see.
Yeah. Middle school, high school, principal. We had 30 applicants, great candidate pool. We narrowed that down to 6 semifinalists. We went ahead and we interviewed those. And last Friday, we brought in 3 finalists. The feedback that I received is our 3 finalists were high quality individuals and probably could serve at a high level with Ogden Community Schools. We did have 5 different stakeholder groups, from students all the way up to community members, administrators, teachers, staff members, and it was clear that there was one individual that definitely is service to the top. So I'm excited to formally announce that Derek Carlson will be our new principal moving forward. Derek is currently serving as a principal in Kansas, as actually Lyons, Kansas. He has family in the central Iowa area and has a desire to move his family to Ogden and truly just fell in love with the school district and the community. So I'm excited to welcome Derek and Andrea, his wife, and their 2 children to Ogden on July 1st. I will be wrapping up our meeting tonight and actually sending out a formal press release to our family. So excited to have him join us.
Very good, thank you. Action items, safety grant project proposals.
There's a couple more, or one more. We got the video camera one, and it's split according to building, just in time for the meeting.
So
Adds that on.
for a while, we've been talking about the Homeland Security Grant, and just a reminder that we did receive that a month and a half ago, $150,000, $50,000 per campus. And our procurement process just indicates that if we have an item that we're going to purchase over $10,000, it needs to come for approval. So tonight, we actually have a couple items. One, it would be the cameras, and then the second would be a door positioning switch. And that is a mechanism on all of our exterior doors. If it is open for a certain amount of time, it would send a signal to allow us or inform us that that door is propped open. And you can kind of see through the things that were in the packet, as well as what Melissa just provided you. They align to that Homeland Security Grant. It's just continue to add additional layers of support and safety for our campuses.
Very cool. Do you have any questions? Seeing no questions or hearing no
I
questions.
thought I got a sense of.
Are we wanting to
So we're wanting to move to approve both the
Doors and cameras.
If we can. Yeah, I know in your packet it was the
Yeah,
door
yeah.
positioning switches and honestly an error on my behalf. We had this originally, I just didn't get the list to get in the packet.
So what we had reviewed.
Yes.
I will move to approve the door systems and the
Staffing plan.
Absolutely. So last month we asked for a staffing plan, and I have a document here that will really kind of guide you through. In short, there's really two changes that I'm proposing. I broke this up into 3 different categories, and you guys can see the leadership, which is up top, and many of those have already been approved, such as taking the HR position from 2 to 3 days, really breaking up the assistant principal and the AD position into different positions with the 6, 12 dean of students, and then the K-12 activities. So you can see on the far right-hand side, those have already been formally approved. If you go down into the certified staff, there is an elementary art position. And last year, you guys had a position for an art for a 0.6 FTE. It has been open for almost a full year. And the number of candidates that we received are continue to be 0. I value and believe that we need art in our K-6. And I think in order for us to have a chance of recruiting and retaining somebody, I believe that it would be the best interest of Ogden schools to move that to a 1.0 FTE. So that would be a staffing change that has not been formally approved. So that is one of them for this evening. The other one that I would like to have a discussion about is our TLC process and teacher leadership compensation. It has been in place since 2014 and is a categorical fund that the state of Iowa put in place to really help support our teachers. And the mindset is if we can help and grow our teachers, in return, our teachers are going to be more effective practitioners. They're going to have better instructional strategies and processes, and that is going to ultimately trickle down into our students. And our student learning is ultimately going to benefit due to that teacher leadership compensation process. With that categorical, and also looking back over the last 6 months of me being a new superintendent, as well as gaining feedback from our needs and strengths analysis that I actually did with our directors, it became apparent that we weren't meeting the needs of all of our staff members. So I've spent some time looking at it, and I actually talked to our instructional committee. I can give this to you. I won't spend too much time on this, but ultimately, I'm going to steal the words of a wise man named Earl Taylor, and he said that ultimately we are creating systems of support and systems of excellence. If you want it, there's 2 actually, front to back. I'll talk about the organizational chart here in a little bit, but ultimately what this system creates is clarity about how are we creating layers of support for our teachers. And it goes all the way down into the PLC process and or a mentor teacher to a lead learner to a learning specialist at each campus. So we are having somebody in our K-5 system and somebody at our 6-12 system that can really help and support that. And that system really is starting with our strategic direction and strategic plan. The superintendent is going to help and support that with the director of learning and student services, which trickles down into the building principals, which then ultimately trickles down into the learning specialist, the lead learners, and you can see kind of through this graphic organizer on what that might kind of look like. So with that, you can see the positions that I have. I know I'm talking a lot here, and we'll pause here in a second for questions. We are eliminating some of our current reality that you can see in the red, and we are replacing it with those positions that are in green, which is the restructuring of our TLC. Funding-wise, that categorical funding, basically we're going to be spending every dollar that we're getting. I think we have right now $90,000 in it, and after 1 year, it would grow to $99,000. So we're actually underspending it about $9,000 per year with this new structure. We're maximizing that categorical funding to its fullest. That's a lot of talking. I guess I don't know how you guys want to take it. If you want questions about the art, or if you want to discuss the TLC process a little bit more, as well as maybe the instructional committee that kind of heard our conversation as well.
It has to happen. Good.
Any other comments, questions? This isn't an action, is it?
It is, I didn't write a motion for it. So it would probably be something like motion to approve the new TLC program and increased FTE for the elementary art position.
Is that next job?
Yes.
Yeah.
What Moses?
Did you, before it seconded, was it seconded?
Not yet?
Did you want to do that sign or some other time?
I can also talk about that now. Yep, I had it in my superintendent report, but I can also talk about it now. So with that also, on the second portion, you will see the organizational chart for our leadership. And I'm trying to just create clarity within everybody knows who's doing what within our system. It starts with the board, and you guys can see up top the board's role is you guys ultimately are going to be leading and directing the superintendent. Superintendent has operations on the one side, which start from our SBO all the way down to our directors of transportation. On the right-hand side, you can see the elementary principal and middle school, high school principal. It did say to be hired. I would put Derek Carlson's name in there. Those gray, or previously was one position. Direct report twos to Derek will now be the 612 Dean of Students and the K-12 Activities Director. The last portion down there previously really did not exist. And ultimately, Amy Kraus was serving as elementary principal and, lack of better words, other duties as assigned. Curriculum director, special education director, at-risk director. And this new system really has her overseeing and leveraging her expertise, but it actually is giving her additional people and resources to help support her in supporting our teachers as well as our students more effectively. So it would be the director of special education, which is a stipend position. I want to make it clear that that is not necessarily a new human being, but it is looking at the strengths of somebody we already have within our system or might be adding to our system to be able to leverage and say, we're going to have you help with special education. Director of curriculum, again, is a stipend position, but now we have more people being underneath that director of learning services to be able to help serve and support all of our staff as well as students, rather than one single individual.
Have we had an official org chart like that before?
To my knowledge, no. I've spent quite a few hours just putting this together, just to try and create clarity again for everybody knows who's doing what within. And
I think it's great. There's no other questions. I'll second Charlie's motion.
Bergstrom,
Yes.
Merritt, Taylor,
Yeah.
Thompson.
Yes.
Benson.
Yes. All right, policy revisions. There's 4 policies there. For revisions. The first policy, first 4, first reading, we're going to go this first and final. Policy. So any questions, comments on the policy?
Taylor,
Going through the 500 series, there's a list of all the ones that were provided for us. First and final readings of all of those 500s. Any comments that you have specifically?
policy review, honestly, many of them just haven't been reviewed for a while, and Melissa's just going through, and ones that are outdated, we're just bringing to the attention and looking at them. I don't believe that there was really a whole lot of changes with those policy reviews. I didn't see a lot of strikeouts. So it really is just to go through and continue to make sure that our policies are up to date as per the recommendations from ISAB.
Any questions? Motion?
Second.
Bergstrom,
Yes.
Merritt, Taylor,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Bensicle.
Yes. Communications, delegations, and petitions. Typically, do public, right? first?
After board calendar. We'll do board calendar first.
Okay, board
Just-
calendar.
Just to note that next month's meeting is early because of spring break, so that's on March 4th. Yeah,
It'll be a
You
quick
said
turnaround.
March 4th?
March 4th, yep. And that fits us in better with the new budget timelines as well. We have fewer extra meetings doing it that way.
March 11th, which would be the second Monday, it falls during spring break, as well as what Melissa was saying, we have to have some formal meetings for the budget hearing moving forward. So March 4th.
And then the 15th, let's see.
In April, yep. And there'll be an extra meeting that week of March 25th that we can schedule on March 4th. We don't have to do that tonight. That'll all make more sense after my budget, first half of my budget presentation, so.
Very good. Public comment. Caitlin. Anita. Jeremy. That's a thumb up, like you're not gonna say anything. Okay, very good. Thanks for coming though. Finance committee report. Pete Berkshire and I met with Joshua. 10
It was
days
about
ago.
2 weeks ago.
And we covered a bunch of stuff. It was a very fruitful meeting. Did you want to touch on any specific?
Ultimately, we just talked about the upcoming budget season. We talked about Department of Management. And when we had met, there was a lot of uncertainty. And there still is a lot of uncertainty with, we don't know what the SSA is, state supplemental aid, and that's really going to be the critical driver of our budget. So we're sitting a little bit. There is also some potential legislation that might pass about teacher salary, of increasing that up to $50,000. So for us to move forward with a proposed budget, a proposed tax rate, it's really kind of, we're putting in anticipations, guesses, but honestly, it's hard for us to move forward. But we talked a lot about a lot of different scenarios and pre-levying for some of our debt. We're just real overall in a pretty good position if things were to come where we anticipate. So hopefully we get a lot of movement down in the Capitol over the next month, over the next couple of weeks actually. That will really help solidify a lot of that. But yeah, I agree. I think our meeting overall was well spent.
Yeah, just to touch on a couple things. We reorganized health insurance to, I think we're gonna save some money there.
We hope we
We'll-
can save some
we'll-
money. Currently, it's
It's bleak, okay. Maybe we won't save some money there. Melissa will be talking in future meetings about our levies. We talked about that. We talked about substitutes, and internal coverage. Maybe thinking about doing some of that this year. Operational sharing. I was looking for ways to operational share with neighboring school districts. Potential instructional.
We met, I think, last week. We went over basically what Joshua presented to you tonight, for the most part. A couple other things, much like finance, we're waiting on some scheduled things from the legislature as well. Maybe you were going to mention this, but you've probably seen a lot of school calendars posted. We're waiting because they are possibly moving that back, which will give us some more flexibility. So we're kind of dragging our feet on that a little bit. But other than that, it was just a lot of time on this, which I think that I know Earl and I were really in favor of this. We talk a lot about how clear is kind, and this is clarity. I mean, these things happen organically, and when they happen organically, sometimes resentment and things like that can build, and this prevents that, in my opinion. So we're really excited about that. Anything else, Earl?
I think that's a good statement. And when things are clearly defined, ambiguity goes away.
Yeah.
So, I agree with that statement. Anything else, instructional? Superintendent's report.
Yeah, so last month I presented you guys some things with our safety and overall just what our strategies and things that we are doing within Ogden Community Schools, and I broke it up into 3 areas. What are we currently doing? What are we going to start doing? And then what are the things that we can consider? And at the conclusion of the meeting, it was, I think, the belief of the board just to talk about it on a monthly basis. So that is really a focus that I'm going to do. I have a document here just to kind of highlight over the last month. This list is similar in nature to what you saw last month. In addition, what I've done is I've either bold or I highlighted things that I took action on or our team has taken action on this month. So after this meeting, some things that will be in the start. So example, promoting the Safe and Sound app to our families. That was something that last month I had not done, but I wanted to start it. I communicated and then shared that with our patrons. We've also put information out in our schools so that they can actually download that app. I will move that from start doing to we are now doing. So the critical things that I've transferred or that we focused on this month is that Safe and Sound app. We purchased the visitor management system, which will be going into both campuses. Exterior door positioning switches. Tonight we actually brought the proposal to you and you guys approved those, as well as the cameras. I actually did not have that on there. We also have worked with Boone County as far as allowing them access to our cameras, providing key fobs to all Boone County patrol cars, revisiting our emergency operation manual. That is something that I had a very productive meeting with probably 12 emergency response individuals. That's from Ogden to Boone County to Boone Police to the state of Iowa. I had at the table. We had an hour and a half discussion about what are we currently doing, what are things that we need to do to continue and enhance that. And then finally on the what should we consider, we've had conversations and there was actually one of our policy revisions was just to really beef up our search and seizure policy. So that annual drug dog. Classroom doors and locks. Billy has been working with a locksmith to actually get a quote on actually getting push button locks to all of our interior doors for our staff members. So that is something that we haven't formally brought a proposal to, but that is something that we've worked quite a bit on this month to get that initial idea on how much it's going to cost us to get that done. And then the last thing is just bold, and it is not highlighted because it's just an idea that I added to it. And it's ultimately the small things, big difference campaign. And it's an idea of could we have on our website a centralized location for if you're in our campus, a lot of times people are like, well, you're there on a daily basis. Why don't you see things? Well, sometimes the obvious is right in front of us and we don't always see it. So this would be an opportunity for our community to be able to go on. It's maybe a quick Google form. It's a small thing that you might be able to put on there, but in return, it could make a big difference. And it's an opportunity for individuals within the community to bring things to our attention. That might be a really good idea, or maybe, hey, that's a good idea, but because of this, and this, we can't do it. But if we want to allow them an opportunity to have a voice to collect those ideas, I think we're missing opportunities. So that's something that I just added to the list that we might consider.
I like that. Kaylin brought up something last meeting about the camera elementary.
And we took action on it. Yep. Yep.
Oh,
She was spot on, and that's actually the example of that small things, big difference. She walks through that elementary on a daily basis, and we just never realized it. But the position of it, there was a glare. And I talked to Billy, and what we simply did is we put a kicker on the back that actually took that camera from straight on to an angle. And Brendan is able to see things much better now. And honestly, it probably took us 2 hours of time and maybe $30 to put that kicker in. So thank you for that, as well as just giving us the idea of the small things, big difference. Final things. Now that we've hired our middle school, high school principal, I'm working on the dean of students, AD, as well as I will be posting our HR director, as well as I need to now communicate to our teachers what that TLC structure sounds like and looks like. So I'll be busy with just really solidifying a lot of that. And then finally, as I indicated in my weekly communication, I will be gone later this week. I want to thank the board for allowing me to invest in myself and my professional growth. I will be going to the Superintendent National Conference and representing Ogden there and getting some critical learning. So thank you. If there were to be an emergency, I have put Amy in charge in the event of emergency. That is all I have.
Any questions?
I'll say.
Bergstrom,
Yes.
Merritt, yep, Taylor,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Van Sickle.
Yes. Thank you, that was good.
Autographs?
To the ball game.
Yes.
Is there anything for autographs today?
No, but I don't need this. I already have it. But I don't know if I'm gonna get it because you have it on.
Sounds good. I can take it. I'll use it for others.
You might need it for someone else.
Yep.
No, I can do all
Yeah,
that.
because now I need to start getting out and talking to people.
I hear you about this.
What are the boys doing tonight, Matthew?
Hopefully they're winning.
Hopefully they each have about 10 points already.
We put on the national anthem. They're going to make sure that they really dragged it out.
Yeah, one of those singers that's on the Super Bowl and
Yeah,
just
right.
drags it up.
We could have also sang